What would you do if minutes before your wedding, your future mother-in-law set your dress on fire? Aurora had spent months preparing for the happiest day of her life. But just before walking down the aisle, she stood frozen, watching her dream gown turn to ash. And at the center of it all, Bernice Wilson, the woman who refused to let her son marry a nobody. But what Bernice didn't realize was that this wedding wasn't about the dress, it was about love. And Aurora wasn't backing down. Stay tuned to see how she turns this disaster into the ultimate act of defiance. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories. I stared in disbelief as flames consumed my wedding gown. The ivory satin that had taken 6 months to perfect now reduced to a smoldering, blackened ruin. Smoke curled toward the ceiling, the acrid scent stinging my nose. And standing before me, manicured fingers still gripping a silver lighter, was Bernice Wilson, my soon-to-be mother-in-law. Her chest rose and fell in rapid, triumphant breaths, her face twisted in satisfaction. "Now you can't marry my son," she declared, voice shrill with hysteria. "Cade needs someone from our social circle, not some nobody from the wrong side of town." She slung her designer purse over her shoulder, looking immensely pleased with herself. "My name is Aurora Mitchell, and at 25, I never imagined I'd be watching my wedding dress burn just 30 minutes before walking down the aisle." My 3 bridesmaids stood frozen in shock, their lavender dresses a sharp contrast to the blackened remnants at my feet. "Mrs. Wilson," I said, my voice steady despite the fury bubbling inside me, "you have no idea what you just did." She laughed, brittle as breaking glass. "What I did? I saved my son from the biggest mistake of his life. You think a community college degree and a job at a local ad agency make you good enough for a Wilson? My Cade belongs with Melissa Hammond. Her father owns half of downtown Cleveland." I reached for my phone and pressed a button, my gaze locked onto Bernice as I did. Behind me, Kendra moved quickly to crack open a window, fanning the smoke away. "The wedding's off," Bernice continued, waving a dismissive hand. "I'll tell everyone you got cold feet. Cade will be upset, but he'll understand eventually." "Are you sure about that?" I asked, turning my phone screen toward her. The color drained from her face. "What? What is that?" "The wedding live stream," I said calmly, watching the realization dawn in her widening eyes. "For Cade's grandparents in Florida. For my sister, who's deployed overseas. It's been running for the past 20 minutes, capturing everything the guests arriving, the musicians setting up, and now you, setting my wedding dress on fire while making it very clear exactly how you feel about me." Bernice's breath hitched. Panic flickered across her face before rage took its place. "Turn it off!" She lunged for my phone, her perfectly styled hair slipping from its place. "You planned this! You set me up!" Kendra stepped between us, her stance unwavering. "Mrs. Wilson, everyone just watched you commit arson on live video. I think you should take a moment to consider your next move." My phone buzzed in my palm, notifications lighting up the screen. Brooke glanced at it and gasped. "It's Cade! He's coming up to the bridal suite!" Bernice's eyes darted wildly, her breaths coming in short, frantic bursts. She scanned the room as if searching for an escape route. "This isn't what it looks like. I was just testing the fabric. Wedding dresses are supposed to be flame retardant." I exhaled slowly, letting the weight of the moment settle. For the first time since this nightmare began, I wasn't the one who needed to explain herself. Bernice Wilson had done that all on her own. And soon enough, Cade would see her for exactly who she was. From my phone, we could hear murmuring from the gathered guests. The camera angle had shifted. Someone had taken control of the live stream and now showed the wedding party's reaction. Cade's father sat stone-faced in the front row. Cade's best man was already rushing toward the building. Most telling was Cade himself, no longer waiting patiently at the altar, but sprinting up the center aisle, his face a mask of shock and fury. "Aurora," my bridesmaid Skylar whispered, "what are we going to do about the ceremony? Should we tell everyone to go home?" I looked down at the smoldering remains of my dream dress, now just blackened scraps on the antique hardwood floor. The practical part of my mind, the part that had put myself through college while working 2 jobs, was already calculating next steps. No, I said firmly. The ceremony is happening, just differently. The door burst open. Cade stood there still in his tuxedo, his eyes moving from my face to his mother to the ruined dress on the floor behind him. The venue manager and his father appeared, both looking horrified. Mom, Cade said, his voice dangerously quiet. Tell me I didn't just watch you burn Aurora's wedding dress while saying she isn't good enough for our family. Bernice's demeanor changed instantly. Sweetheart, you don't understand. I was protecting you. This girl has been after your money from day one. I was testing her character and— Stop! Cade cut her off. Stop lying. I heard everything. He turned to me, his eyes softening. Val, I'm so sorry. I had no idea she would do something like this. I stepped carefully around the burnt fabric, moving toward him. It's just a dress, I said, though we both knew it was much more than that. But your mother just showed exactly what she thinks of me, of us, in front of everyone we know. Cade took my hands in his, seemingly oblivious to his mother's sputtering protests. What do you want to do, Val? It's your call. Before I could answer, Mr. Wilson appeared behind Cade, his expression grim. Bernice, what have you done? His voice was low, controlled, but with an edge I'd never heard before. Walter, please, Bernice pleaded. You know the Hammonds would be a much better match. Their family has been part of Cleveland society for generations, as opposed to Aurora, who built a successful career through hard work and determination. Mr. Wilson shook his head in disgust. You've gone too far this time. My phone continued to buzz with notifications. I glanced down to see messages pouring in from guests who were watching everything unfold on the live stream. The venue coordinator hovered in the doorway, looking uncertain. Miss Mitchell? She said hesitantly. The guests are asking what's happening. Should we make an announcement? I looked at the ruins of my dress again, then at my bridesmaids in their lavender gowns. A plan was forming in my mind, one that would turn Bernice's attempt to sabotage our wedding into something entirely different. Tell them there's been a change of plans, I said, but the ceremony will proceed in 20 minutes. Bernice scoffed. In what? Your underwear? You can't possibly— In my backup dress, I interrupted calmly. The room fell silent. Cade looked at me in confusion. You have a backup dress? I hadn't, of course, but 6 months of working with temperamental clients at the advertising agency had taught me to always have a contingency plan. Skylar, I turned to my bridesmaid, remember that photo shoot we did for Cleveland Bride last month? Call Eliza and ask if her sample dress is still available. Skylar's eyes widened in understanding. The ivory sheath with the lace overlay? It should fit you perfectly. Cade's father stepped forward, pulling out his phone. I'll have my driver pick it up immediately. Where is it located? As they coordinated the dress retrieval, I turned back to Bernice, who stood watching in disbelief as her plan unraveled. You really thought a dress would stop this wedding after everything Cade and I have been through? But everyone's watching, she hissed, gesturing at my phone. They all saw what happened. Yes, I agreed, they did. And now they'll also see what happens next. I turned to address the camera directly, knowing the guests were still watching. To everyone waiting, thank you for your patience. The ceremony will be slightly delayed, but love always finds a way, even when someone tries to burn it down. A cheer erupted from the phone's speakers, the guests in the ceremony space showing their support. Cade's grip on my hand tightened, steady and reassuring, his eyes shining with nothing but pride. Mom, he said firmly, you need to leave. Dad will take you home. You are no longer welcome at our wedding. Bernice's face twisted with fury. You would choose her over your own mother after everything I've done for you? Cade didn't hesitate. After what you've done today? Absolutely. The next 20 minutes blurred into a whirlwind of movement, while security escorted Bernice out after Mr. Wilson, looking both apologetic and exhausted, insisted on it. Eliza from Cleveland Bride arrived, carrying not one but 3 stunning sample dresses. The bridal suite instantly transformed into an impromptu fashion headquarters, my bridesmaids, the venue coordinator, and even some of the female guests jumping in to help. This one, Kendra declared, holding up an elegant ivory sheath dress adorned with delicate lace. It's perfect for your figure, and we can have it ready in minutes. The venue's seamstress, originally hired for simple alterations, worked her magic with quick stitches and an impressive number of safety pins. Meanwhile, Cade had returned to the ceremony space, addressing the guests in person and through the live stream that someone had thoughtfully positioned toward the altar. I could hear his voice, strong and unwavering. "Today didn't start the way any of us expected," he told them, "but Aurora and I have always believed that it's not perfect circumstances that make a marriage work. It's how you handle the imperfect ones together." Applause filled the air. Skylar adjusted the borrowed veil on my head and stepped back, beaming. "There. You look absolutely stunning." The dress wasn't what I had planned to wear when I became Mrs. Cade Wilson, but as I turned toward the mirror, I realized it suited me perfectly simpler, more elegant, and, in a way, stronger than my original choice. A reflection of me, adapting to circumstances rather than being defeated by them. A gentle knock at the door made us all turn. Mr. Wilson stepped inside, his expression softening the moment he saw me. "Aurora, you look beautiful." Then, his face shadowed with regret. "I want to apologize for Bernice. Her behavior was inexcusable." "You don't need to apologize for her, Mr. Wilson," I said. "You didn't burn my dress." He nodded, the relief visible in his eyes. "Cade sent me to tell you that everyone's ready whenever you are." Then, with a small smile, he added, "Your boss from the agency is here. Apparently, he's documenting everything for what he calls the greatest viral wedding marketing campaign Cleveland has ever seen." I laughed. Trust Eddie to see a promotional opportunity in disaster. If the advertising world had taught me anything, it was that the most compelling stories often came from overcoming unexpected challenges. The venue coordinator appeared at the doorway. "We're ready when you are, Miss Mitchell. The musicians are prepared, and we've adjusted the lighting to complement your new dress." I hesitated as an idea sparked. "The live stream is still running, right?" When she confirmed it was, a slow smile spread across my lips. "Then let's project it in the ceremony space for a few more minutes," I decided. "I want everyone to see us walking from here to there, the whole journey, not just the arrival." 10 minutes later, as my bridesmaids and I made our way through the venue's garden path toward the ceremony space, I knew every step was being broadcast to the waiting guests, not as a traditional bridal entrance, but as something more powerful. A statement that nothing, not even a vindictive mother-in-law with a lighter, could stop this wedding. As we approached the doors to the ceremony space, I could hear the guests' applause growing louder. Cade waited just inside, his face lighting up when he saw me. "Ready to get married?" he asked, taking my hand. "More ready than ever," I replied, squeezing his fingers. The ceremony that followed wasn't the one we had rehearsed, but it felt more authentic than anything we could have planned. As I walked down the aisle in my borrowed dress, guests rose to their feet applauding rather than maintaining the traditional reverent silence. Their faces showed not just the usual wedding joy, but something deeper: respect, admiration, solidarity. Cade's father stood proudly in the front row, occasionally glancing at the empty seat where Bernice should have been. His eyes met mine briefly, conveying wordless support. Our officiant, Pastor Mitchell, no relation, though we joked about it, improvised beautifully. "Dearly beloved," he began, "we are gathered here today to witness not just a wedding, but a triumph of love over adversity. Aurora and Cade have already faced their first challenge as a couple, and they've met it with grace, resilience, and unwavering commitment to each other." During our vows, Cade added lines that hadn't been in our rehearsal. "I promise to stand by you against anyone who tries to come between us," he said, his voice carrying to the back of the room and beyond to those watching the live stream, especially if that person is from my own family. When it came time for the exchange of rings, a moment of panic crossed Cade's face. The rings had been with his mother during the pre-ceremony preparations. Mr. Wilson quickly stepped forward, producing the velvet box from his pocket. "I took the liberty of retrieving these earlier," he explained quietly, "just in case." After we were pronounced husband and wife, the celebration that erupted seemed to release all the tension that had built up throughout the afternoon. As we walked back down the aisle, I noticed Eddie, my boss, filming discreetly from the side. He gave me a thumbs up that somehow managed to be both professional and genuinely emotional. The reception that followed in the Grand Pavilion's ballroom had an atmosphere unlike any wedding I'd attended before. Instead of polite conversation and standard wedding rituals, there was an almost festive defiance in the air. Someone had hastily created a custom Snapchat filter featuring a phoenix rising from ashes with our names underneath. "Your wedding is trending locally on social media," Kendra informed me as we entered the reception. "People are using # rising from the ashes and #can't-burn-love." Cade's college roommate Tom, who worked in public relations, approached us with his phone. "The Cleveland Plain Dealer wants a statement." Their lifestyle editor saw the live stream. "Apparently her niece was a guest, and they're calling it Cleveland's most resilient wedding." "Tell them we're just grateful for everyone's support," Cade replied, his arm secure around my waist. "And that true commitment means facing obstacles together, not running from them." As the evening progressed, I noticed Mr. Wilson speaking intensely with various family members, damage control evident in his gestures and expressions. Cade's Aunt Diane approached our table during dinner, leaning down to speak privately. "Walter is beside himself," she confided. "Bernice has been escorted home, but she's threatening to cut Cade out of the family business if he doesn't come to his senses. Walter told her that after today, she's the one who needs to worry about her position in the company." Cade squeezed my hand under the table. "Dad's always been the backbone of the family," he said. "Mom just never realized it because he let her think she was in charge." As our first dance began, I couldn't help but notice the empty tables near the front of the room, spaces reserved for Bernice's country club friends who had quietly disappeared after the incident. In their place, colleagues from my advertising agency had moved forward, filling the void with genuine support. "Mr. Wilson is handling damage control like a pro," Eddie commented, approaching us after the dance with 2 glasses of champagne. "He's personally thanking everyone for staying, while subtly letting Bernice's allies know they won't be missed." Cade nodded, watching his father work the room with newfound respect. "I think this is the first time I've seen him stand up to her so publicly," he murmured. 27 years of marriage, and today was his breaking point. The wedding photographer initially hired by Bernice approached us cautiously. "Mrs. Wilson, the younger Mrs. Wilson," she clarified with a smile. "I've captured some beautiful moments today, but I wanted to ask about the dress incident. Some of the guests took photos. Would you prefer I requested they keep those private?" I exchanged glances with Cade before answering. "Actually, I think honesty is the best approach here. This is part of our story now." As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a notification. The short clip of Bernice setting fire to my dress had already been viewed over 20,000 times on a local Cleveland news page. The comment section overflowed with support interspersed with stories from other brides who had faced difficult in-laws. "You might not have planned it," Eddie said, scrolling through the comments, "but you've started a movement. Standing strong in the face of toxic family relationships is resonating with people." Cade's cousin Mia appeared at our table, her expression a mixture of embarrassment and determination. "I want you both to know that not everyone in the family shares Aunt Bernice's views," she said firmly. "Most of us think she crossed a line that can't be uncrossed." "Thank you, Mia," I replied, genuinely touched. "That means a lot." As the evening progressed, Cade received a text from his father. He read it silently before showing me the screen. "Your mother has locked herself in the guest house. She's demanding I choose between her and that girl. I've informed her that her behavior today has made my choice remarkably easy. We'll discuss next steps when you return from your honeymoon. Proud of you both. Dad." "Are you okay?" I asked Cade quietly, searching his face for signs of regret or doubt. "I'm better than okay," he replied, squeezing my hand. "For years, I watched Mom undermine Dad, belittle you, and manipulate everyone around her. Today, she finally showed her true colors to everyone, not just us. It's like a weight has been lifted." As the reception continued, I noticed something remarkable happening. Guests, who had been stiff and formal at the beginning, Bernice's side of the family and social circle, were now relaxing, engaging more genuinely with my friends and family. Without Bernice's watchful eye, the artificial social barriers she'd maintained were dissolving. "Mrs. Wilson," the venue coordinator approached with an unexpected smile. "There's something you should see." She led us to the entrance of the ballroom. There, prominently displayed on an easel, was a large photo frame filled with dozens of handwritten notes from guests. The heading above them read, "Messages of Love and Resilience for Aurora and Cade." "Your bridesmaids organized this," she explained. "They asked guests to write messages of support after what happened." 1 week into our honeymoon in the Maldives, the full weight of what had happened at our wedding was still unraveling. Cade and I sat on our private deck, the endless expanse of crystal blue waters stretching before us, scrolling through messages during our daily check-in with reality. "Dad says Mom's staying with her sister in Cincinnati," Cade muttered, setting his phone down. "Apparently, Aunt Linda is the only person who still believes her version of events, that she was testing the dress fabric and everyone just misunderstood." I adjusted my sun hat, a small smile tugging at my lips. Hard to misunderstand someone screaming, "Now you can't marry my son," while holding a lighter. The Cleveland media had turned our wedding fiasco into something of a local legend. What began as a wild story of an unhinged mother-in-law had morphed into a larger discussion about toxic family dynamics and the importance of setting boundaries. Women's magazines had even reached out, asking if I'd be willing to share my experience on how to maintain a healthy marriage despite difficult in-laws. Eddie says the agencies had 3 new clients specifically request the team with the wedding dress phoenix. I laughed, holding up my phone. "He wants to know if we'd be open to joining a panel on crisis management when we get back." Cade took my hand, his thumb brushing over my wedding band. "Only if you want to. We don't have to make this a spectacle if you'd rather keep it private." I thought about the flood of messages from couples who had faced similar struggles, people looking for reassurance that love could still thrive despite family opposition. "Maybe our experience can help others," I said softly. "Not how I expected to start our marriage, but at least it would be real." Cade smiled. "Like us." 3 months later, we attended the Wilson Family Foundation's annual gala, our first major public appearance since returning from our honeymoon. Typically, Bernice had orchestrated every detail of these events, but this year, it had been completely reimagined under Mr. Wilson's direction. "Nervous?" Cade asked as our car pulled up to the Cleveland Art Museum. "A little," I admitted, smoothing the emerald gown I wore, a stunning piece from Eliza's boutique, the designer who had turned our wedding debacle into a powerful campaign about resilience and second chances. Inside, the change was palpable. The air was lighter, the rigid formality replaced with a warmth that had never existed before. Mr. Wilson stood at the entrance, looking years younger without Bernice's overbearing presence. "There they are," he beamed, embracing us both. "The couple who inspired our foundation's new initiative!" He led us toward a display highlighting the Wilson Family Foundation's latest program, Rising Phoenix Grants for Women Starting Over After Difficult Life Transitions. The foundation's logo had even been redesigned, now incorporating a subtle phoenix motif. "We've already approved funding for 15 women," Mr. Wilson said proudly, each one rebuilding after incredible challenges. As we moved through the room, I realized how much had changed beyond the decor. The guest list was different. Gone were the social climbers and the status-obsessed acquaintances. In their place were people genuinely invested in the foundation's mission. "Mrs. Wilson," a young woman approached, her voice steady but emotional. "Your wedding story gave me the courage to leave my toxic marriage. Now I'm starting my own business." Later that night, Cade and I slipped away to the museum's terrace, stealing a quiet moment beneath the glow of the city skyline. As I rested my head against his shoulder, his phone buzzed. "Mom's coming back to Cleveland," he said, his expression unreadable. "Dad says she's agreed to counseling if she wants any chance at reconciliation." I squeezed his hand. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together, just like we did with the wedding." He turned to me, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Some flames are meant to destroy," he murmured, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Others just reveal what's unbreakable." What do you do when the biggest day of your life is nearly destroyed not by bad luck, but by someone who was supposed to be family? Would you crumble under the weight of betrayal, or would you rise from the ashes? Aurora had every reason to give up. Watching her wedding dress burn at the hands of her future mother-in-law was more than just an attack on fabric. It was an attempt to erase her place in Cade's life. Bernice believed that wealth and status dictated love, but she underestimated one thing: Aurora's resilience. Instead of letting the moment break her, Aurora adapted. With a calm mind and unwavering determination, she refused to let Bernice's cruelty define her wedding day, and Cade, he proved exactly where his loyalty lay. He stood beside Aurora, not just in words, but in action, banishing his mother from the ceremony and refusing to let manipulation dictate his future. Their love wasn't built on fairy tale perfection, it was built on facing challenges together. Now, Bernice is left to face the consequences of her actions, while Aurora and Cade move forward, stronger than ever. Their wedding, meant to be a picture-perfect event, became something even better, a symbol of love that couldn't be burned away. So, what would you have done? Would you have gone through with the wedding, or would this have been the final straw? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.
Who's the lady behind Daddy? Lily's whispered question slices through the darkness of her bedroom, piercing my chest like a shard of ice. My 7-year-old's innocent face glows blue in the light of the tablet screen, where Marcus's pixelated image freezes for a split second. I'm Sawyer, and this is the moment my marriage shatters. What lady, sweetheart? I keep my voice steady, though my fingers tighten around the tablet's edges. Marcus's face twitches, a micro-expression I wouldn't have caught if I hadn't spent 15 years memorizing every line of his face. Behind Daddy, in his hotel room. She just walked past really fast. Lily points at the screen, her small finger leaving a smudge. She had red hair. Marcus laughs, but it's too sharp, too quick. Princess, there's no one here. Must be the TV reflection or something. It's late there, isn't it, Sawyer? Maybe we should wrap this up. I watch him adjust his collar, a nervous tick I've seen 1,000 times during board meetings and parent-teacher conferences. Sure, I say, tasting metal. Lily needs her sleep. Night, Daddy. Love you. Lily blows a kiss at the screen. Love you too, Princess. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Sawyer, I'll call you tomorrow about the connection drops. Or he drops it. Same difference. Lily yawns, already forgetting about the mysterious lady as she snuggles into her unicorn sheets. I kiss her forehead, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo, trying to anchor myself in this moment before the storm I feel building breaks loose. Mommy? Her voice is already heavy with sleep. Yes, baby. Is Daddy coming home soon? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Marcus is supposed to be in Seattle for 3 more days, closing a deal that could make or break his firm. Alone. In meetings. Not in his hotel room with a redhead at 11 at night. Soon, I lie, hating myself for it. Sweet dreams, love. I walk down the hallway to our bedroom, my bedroom now, really, since Marcus started traveling so much. The house feels too quiet, too empty, like a stage set waiting for the drama to unfold. My phone buzzes with a text from Emma. Wine emergency. I'm free. My fingers hover over the keyboard. Emma's been my best friend since college, the one person who saw through Marcus's charm from the start. Not tonight, I type back. Tomorrow? I need this night to think, to plan, to let the rage building in my chest crystallize into something useful. The signs were there, the late nights, the password changes, the new cologne. I just didn't want to see them. Opening my laptop, I pull up Marcus's social media accounts. Nothing obvious, he's too smart for that. But there's always a trail if you know where to look. I start with his firm's website, scanning through staff photos until I find her, the new senior partner with copper hair and a smile that could cut glass. Vivian Morrison. My screen fills with her LinkedIn profile, her achievements, her carefully curated professional image. But it's the photo that catches my eye. She's wearing a necklace I recognize. The same one I saw in a jewelry store receipt Marcus accidentally left in his jacket last month. The pieces click into place like a lock tumbling open. I close the laptop, my mind already racing ahead to what comes next. Marcus thinks he's so clever, so careful. He has no idea what's coming. Because here's the thing about betrayal, it's not just about the act itself. It's about the lies, the manipulation, the slow erosion of trust that comes before. And now, thanks to our daughter's innocent observation, I have what I need, the first thread to unravel his carefully constructed facade. I pick up my phone again and text Emma, changed my mind. Bring the wine. We have work to do. Emma arrives with 2 bottles of wine and a gleam in her eye that means trouble. We're halfway through the first bottle when my brother Jasper shows up unannounced, his police detective badge still clipped to his belt. "You look like hell," he says, dropping into my favorite armchair. "Thanks for the assessment." I swirl the wine in my glass. "What brings you by?" Emma texted. He shoots her a look. "Said you might need some professional insight." Of course she did. I should be annoyed, but the weight of secrets is already crushing my chest. Lily saw something during Marcus's video call tonight. Someone, actually. Jasper leans forward, his expression shifting from concerned brother to detective. "Tell me." I do. The video call, the red-headed woman, Marcus's reaction. With each detail, the reality of it becomes sharper, more painful. Emma refills my glass without asking. "You know what this means," Jasper says quietly. "It means I'm an idiot who didn't see what was right in front of me." "No," Emma interrupts. "It means Marcus is about to learn exactly who he's dealing with." My phone buzzes. Marcus. I turn it face down on the coffee table. He's probably calling to damage control. Make sure I bought his story about the TV reflection. Speaking of stories, Jasper pulls out his phone. "Remember that charity gala at Marcus's firm last month? The one you couldn't attend because Lily was sick?" My stomach twists. "What about it?" He pulls up a photo on his phone. It's from the firm's social media, Marcus in his best suit, champagne in hand, laughing at something Vivian Morrison is saying. Her red hair catches the light like copper wire. They're standing close. Too close. "That necklace," Emma points at Vivian's throat. "The one you found the receipt for?" $15,000 of platinum and diamonds. The words taste bitter. He said it was a potential investment piece. Jasper's jaw tightens. "Want me to run a background check on her?" "No," I say, surprising myself. "I need to handle this my way." "And what way is that?" Emma asks. Before I can answer, my phone buzzes again. This time it's an email from Marcus's firm, an invitation to their annual summer party next weekend. The one they throw for partners and their families. Perfect timing, I murmur, opening the attachment. There she is, listed on the planning committee, Vivian Morrison, senior partner. "Sawyer," Jasper's voice carries a warning. "Whatever you're thinking." "I'm thinking it's time I met Marcus's new partner properly." I stand up, suddenly energized. "Emma, remember that red dress you said was too daring for me?" She grins. "The one that makes you look like $1,000,000 and murder?" "Exactly. I'm going to need to borrow it." Jasper runs a hand over his face. "This isn't going to end well." "It already hasn't ended well," I snap. Marcus made sure of that. Now I get to decide what happens next. My phone buzzes a third time, a text from Marcus, about tonight. "Lily has such an active imagination. Miss you both. Home soon." The lies are so smooth, so practiced. How many times has he sent messages like this? How many nights has he played the devoted husband while building a life with someone else? You know what the worst part is? I look at Jasper and Emma, my closest allies. It's not even the affair. It's that he's making me doubt every memory, every moment. Was anything real? Emma reaches for my hand. "That's what makes you different from him, Sawyer. You were real." And that's why we're going to make sure he never forgets it. I pick up my phone and type a reply, "Can't wait to see you. The summer party's next weekend, I'll be there." His response is immediate, "You hate those corporate events." "Time for a change," I text back, watching the 3 dots appear and disappear as he processes this shift in the script. "Besides, I'd love to meet your new partners." The dots vanish. No response. I look up at Jasper and Emma, feeling something close to smile form on my face. Now, about that red dress. The summer party invitation sits on my kitchen counter like a loaded gun. 3 days until I face them both, and I can't stop discovering new lies. Each one is a paper cut to the heart, small but devastating in its precision. I'm scrolling through Marcus's company website again when a notification pops up. Someone's tagged him in a photo. My finger hovers over the link, trembling slightly. Click. The image loads. Marcus at a restaurant I don't recognize, his arm casually draped over a chair. The caption reads, "Strategy dinner with the team." But it's what's reflected in the window behind him that stops my breath. A flash of red hair, a familiar necklace, carefully cropped out of the main shot but caught in the glass like a ghost. My phone rings. "Emma. Found something?" she asks without preamble. They're not even trying to hide anymore. My voice sounds strange, distant. "Just being careful about the angles. The party's in 3 days. Are you sure you want to?" A new email notification cuts her off. From Marcus's firm, but not from him. From her. "Emma, I'll call you back." The subject line reads, "Regarding the summer party." My fingers feel numb as I open it. "Dear Sawyer, I hope you don't mind me reaching out directly. As head of the planning committee, I wanted to personally welcome you to the event. Marcus mentioned you rarely attend these functions, so I thought we could meet beforehand to help you feel more comfortable. Coffee tomorrow? Vivian Morrison." The audacity steals my breath. I read it again, catching the subtle power play, the calculated friendliness. She knows. She has to know I know. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. "Vivian's just being polite. You don't have to go." Of course he's already heard. I imagine them together, discussing how to handle me, the inconvenient wife. The thought crystallizes something inside me. I reply to Vivian's email, "Coffee sounds perfect. The garden cafe at 2? Her response is immediate, "Looking forward to it." I call Emma back. "Change of plans. I need you to follow Marcus tomorrow afternoon." "Why? What's happening?" "I'm having coffee with his mistress." Silence. Then, "Holy shit, Sawyer. There's more." I forward her the photo with the reflection. "Look at the date stamp. 3 months ago. That necklace? He bought it for her the next day. Using your joint account," Emma finishes. "That's why you found the receipt." Exactly. But here's what I just realized, that restaurant? It's right next to the jewelry store. He didn't even try to hide the location. Just assumed I'd never connect the dots. My laptop pings, another notification. Someone's created a new Instagram account and tagged Marcus in old photos. Lots of them. The username makes my stomach lurch, VM private. "Emma," my voice shakes, I think she's starting to crack too. I click through the photos, Marcus and Vivian at various work events over the past year. Each one carefully staged to look professional, but the progression is clear. The way they stand closer in each shot. The lingering looks. The inside jokes in the captions. "She's marking her territory," Emma says softly. Question is, why now? My phone lights up with another text, this time from Jasper. "Got the financial records you asked for. You need to see this. Now." I have to go, I tell Emma. "But tomorrow. I'll follow Marcus while you have coffee with the other woman. Just, be careful, Sawyer. This feels like a trap." I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Of course it is. But here's what they don't understand. I'm not the same woman who used to avoid these parties because they made me uncomfortable. That woman died the moment our daughter saw what they tried to hide. I end the call and open Jasper's message. The document he's attached makes my blood run cold: bank transfers, property records, a paper trail leading to something much bigger than an affair. Tomorrow, I'll have coffee with Vivian Morrison. I'll smile and play my part. But now I know, this isn't just about a cheating husband. This is about fraud, conspiracy, and millions of dollars that shouldn't exist. And they have no idea that I've found their real secret. The garden cafe feels too bright, too normal for what I'm about to do. Vivian Morrison sits at a corner table, copper hair gleaming under vintage Edison bulbs, that $15,000 necklace catching the light. Sawyer, she stands, extending her hand. I'm so glad you came. Her grip is firm, confident. I notice she's chosen a seat that gives her a clear view of both entrances. So has Emma, positioned at the coffee bar, pretending to work on her laptop. Marcus was surprised you agreed to meet, Vivian says, settling back into her chair. Was he? I stir my coffee, watching the cream create perfect spirals. Funny, he didn't mention that during our call last night. A micro-expression flickers across her face: surprise, maybe concern. You spoke last night? Lily loves her bedtime calls with Daddy. I let that hang there, watching her process the mention of my daughter. Her smile tightens. She sounds adorable. Marcus shows me pictures sometimes. The casual admission hits like a slap, but I keep my voice steady. I'm sure he does. Along with the financial records? Now the smile vanishes completely. I'm not sure what you mean. I pull out my phone, slide it across the table. On the screen is a document Jasper sent me: wire transfers, shell companies, dates that coincide perfectly with her promotion to senior partner. Interesting timing, I say. Your partnership announcement came right after that first transfer of $2 million to an offshore account in the Caymans. She doesn't touch the phone. Doesn't even look at it. You should be careful, Sawyer. You're making accusations about things you don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. The affair was just cover, wasn't it? A convenient distraction while you and Marcus moved the money. Did you seduce him, or was he just a willing participant in both betrayals? Her laugh is soft, dangerous. You think you're so clever, finding breadcrumbs we left for you to find. Tell me, does your detective brother know about Marcus's other accounts? The ones in Singapore? The question hits me like ice water. Jasper hadn't mentioned Singapore. There's so much you don't know, Vivian continues, leaning forward. About Marcus, about the firm, about me. Did you really think I'd meet you without insurance? My phone buzzes, a text from Emma: Marcus just entered the back door. Speaking of insurance, I say, standing up. You might want to check your private Instagram account. The one you created to document your relationship with Marcus? I took screenshots. All of them. Those photos prove nothing. No, but the metadata embedded in them proves everything. Dates, locations, timestamps that match perfectly with those financial transfers. Quite the paper trail you two created. Marcus appears behind her, his face ashen. Sawyer, stop. Why? Afraid I'll tell her about Geneva? Vivian's head snaps toward Marcus. What about Geneva? I gather my things, savoring the confusion on both their faces. Oh, you didn't know? Ask him about the account he opened there last week. The one with only his name on it. Marcus? Vivian's voice has lost its confidence. Don't worry, I say, dropping cash on the table for my untouched coffee. I'm sure he has a perfectly reasonable explanation for why he's planning to run with all the money. Just like he had reasonable explanations for all those late nights at the office. I walk away, hearing them start to argue in harsh whispers. Emma falls into step beside me as we exit. That was brutal, she says. You okay? No. My hands are shaking now that it's over. But I will be. Did you send everything to Jasper? Already done. He's waiting for us at his office with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. I take one last look through the cafe window. Marcus and Vivian are both on their phones now, faces tight with panic. They've forgotten I can still see them, too focused on damage control to notice they're being watched. Just like they never noticed me at all, until it was too late. Let's go, I tell Emma. The real work starts now. Jasper's office feels like a war room. Financial records cover his desk, sticky notes create a web of connections on his whiteboard, and 3 FBI agents hover over laptops, tracking Marcus's digital footprints. He's booking flights, Agent Chen says, not looking up from her screen. Multiple destinations, different aliases. And Vivian? I ask, watching the data stream across their monitors. Still in her office, making calls. Lots of calls. Jasper hands me a coffee. You rattled them both pretty hard at that cafe. My phone buzzes, Marcus calling. Again. I silence it, adding to the growing list of missed calls since our confrontation yesterday. The summer party's tomorrow night, Emma reminds me, scrolling through her phone. Half the firm's already talking about Marcus and Vivian's fight at the cafe. Someone posted a video. Perfect timing, Agent Chen says. We'll have teams in place, but we need them to actually attempt the transfer before we can. My phone lights up with a text from Lily's school. My heart stops. Marcus picked her up 10 minutes ago. The room goes silent. He's never picked her up without telling me first. Never. Track his phone, Jasper barks at the agents. Now. My hands shake as I dial the school. The secretary's voice is apologetic. He's on the approved list, Mrs. Bennett. He said you knew. I hang up, already moving toward the door. Emma grabs my arm. Wait, she says. He's trying to force you to talk to him. Don't give him that power. He has my daughter. And 3 FBI teams tracking his every move, Jasper reminds me. He won't leave the city with her. He can't. My phone buzzes again, a text from Marcus. We need to talk. Come home. Home. Where I haven't slept since finding those transfers. Where Lily's drawings still cover the fridge, where family photos hide the truth behind perfect smiles. He's at your house, Agent Chen confirms. Phone signal stable. I'm going, I say, cutting off Jasper's protest. But I'm wearing a wire. 20 minutes later, I pull into our driveway. Marcus's car is there, next to Lily's pink bicycle. Through the window, I can see them in the kitchen. He's making her grilled cheese, her favorite after-school snack. Playing the devoted father while using her as a bargaining chip. My phone buzzes one last time before I reach the door. Remember the Geneva account? 2 can play that game. I freeze, my hand on the doorknob. He's bluffing. He has to be. The door opens before I can turn the key. Marcus stands there, his perfect facade showing cracks around the edges. Mommy. Lily runs past him, hugging my legs. Daddy's making lunch. Want some? Sure, baby. I stroke her hair, meeting Marcus's gaze over her head. Why don't you go set the table? She bounces away, leaving us in charged silence. That was quite a show at the cafe, Marcus says quietly. Very dramatic. Very public. Taking our daughter without telling me, that's your response? You left me no choice. He steps closer, voice dropping. You have no idea what you started. The people involved, the money at stake. The people who don't know about your private accounts? I match his tone. The ones who think you're all in this together? A muscle twitches in his jaw. You need to back off, Sawyer. For Lily's sake. Don't you dare use her against me. I'm trying to protect her. He runs a hand through his hair, a tell I've seen 1,000 times when he's losing control. There are things you don't understand. Daddy. The cheese is burning. He turns toward the kitchen, then back to me. We're not done. No, I agree, watching him walk away. We're just getting started. I touch the wire under my shirt, knowing Jasper and the FBI are listening. Knowing that in 24 hours, at the summer party, everything will change. I just have to keep Marcus thinking he's in control until then. Coming, sweetheart. I call to Lily, stepping into what used to be our home, now just another battlefield in this war of secrets and lies. The summer party sparkles with fake laughter and real champagne. I adjust Emma's borrowed red dress, feeling the wire tape pull against my skin. Somewhere in this crowd, FBI agents are waiting for Marcus to make his move. You look stunning, Emma whispers, appearing at my elbow. Marcus hasn't stopped staring since you walked in. He's not the only one. Vivian stands across the room, her copper hair swept up, that damned necklace still at her throat. She's watching me too, her face unreadable. Any sign of the transfer? I murmur. Not yet. But Jasper says. The room hushes as Marcus takes the stage, champagne glass in hand. My husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, looks every inch the successful partner in his tailored suit. Only I can see the strain around his eyes, the slight tremor in his hand. Thank you all for coming, he begins. Tonight we celebrate not just another successful year, but a new chapter for our firm. My phone vibrates. Unknown number, check your email. Now. I slip away from Emma, finding a quiet corner to open my inbox. The subject line stops my breath, Lily's college fund, empty today. The attachment shows our daughter's account, the one I thought only I could access, drained to zero. Below it, a message, walk away now, or the Geneva account details go public. Think about Lily's future. My vision blurs. That account was everything I'd saved for her, separate from our joint finances. The money I'd been setting aside since the day she was born. Quite a speech Marcus is giving, isn't it? I turn to find Vivian beside me, close enough that I can smell her expensive perfume. Did you help him empty my daughter's college fund too? I keep my voice low, steady. Oh, Sawyer. She smiles, all teeth. You still think this is about affairs and hurt feelings? Marcus told me what you're really doing, working with the FBI, wearing that wire under your lovely dress. Ice floods my veins. The wire suddenly feels like it's burning my skin. Don't worry, she continues. We haven't told our other partners about your little investigation. Yet. But they're not as understanding as we are. On stage, Marcus is still talking, but his eyes find mine across the room. He raises his glass in my direction, a silent challenge. The transfer's already happened, Vivian says softly. Hours ago, through channels you'll never trace. All this? She gestures around the room. It's theater. For you. My phone buzzes again. Another email, surveillance photos of Lily at school, timestamped today. A warning. You have a choice, Vivian continues. Leave now. Take Lily and disappear. Marcus will restore her college fund, and our associates never need to know how close you came to exposing everything. Or stay, and discover just how deep this really goes. How many people have invested in keeping their secrets buried? She touches her necklace. Your brother's a good detective. It would be a shame if his investigation into that cold case from last year was compromised. The room spins slightly. They've thought of everything. Every angle, every pressure point. 2 minutes, Vivian says, checking her watch. Before Marcus finishes his speech. Before certain documents are released that will destroy your brother's career. Before those photos of Lily find their way to some very dangerous people. On stage, Marcus is wrapping up. Emma's trying to catch my eye from across the room. Somewhere in this crowd, FBI agents are waiting for a signal I can no longer give. Time's up, Vivian whispers. What's it going to be? I look at my phone one last time, at Lily's empty college account, at her innocent face in those surveillance photos. Then I reach under my dress and slowly peel off the wire. Vivian's smile widens as I drop it into her outstretched hand. Smart choice, she says. The exit's that way. Don't worry about saying goodbye. I walk toward the door on legs that barely feel real, leaving behind everything, the investigation, the evidence, the justice I thought I could find. They've won. And the worst part is, I'm letting them. For Lily. Always for Lily. The parking garage is empty except for 3 cars, mine, Marcus's, and Vivian's. My heels echo against concrete as I walk toward their voices, arguing in harsh whispers behind a concrete pillar. I'm still wearing Emma's red dress, but the wire is gone. So is my phone. So is everything except the USB drive burning a hole in my clutch, the one thing they don't know about. It's done, Marcus is saying. She's neutralized. We should. You idiot. Vivian's voice cuts like glass. She copied everything before coming tonight. Why else would she give up so easily? I step into view. Smart woman. They spin toward me. Marcus's face darkens, but Vivian smiles. It's not the smile I expected. The FBI's gone, Marcus says. You've lost. Have I? I open my clutch, letting them see the drive. Everything's here. The transfers, the shell companies, the real names of your associates. One copy of many. We can destroy your life, Marcus takes a step forward. Lily's future is exactly why I'm here. I meet his eyes. You really think I'd let you use our daughter as leverage without a backup plan? Vivian moves suddenly, placing herself between us. But she's not facing me, she's facing Marcus. That's enough, she says quietly. Marcus blinks. What are you? The FBI isn't gone, she continues. They're just not wearing wires anymore. Isn't that right, Agent Morrison? The silence that follows feels like glass about to shatter. 8 months, Vivian, Agent Morrison, says. 8 months undercover, watching you steal from clients, launder money, destroy lives. But we needed the connections, the names of everyone involved. Marcus's face goes ash white. You. Used you? She removes the necklace, the one he bought her, and lets it fall. Like you used Sawyer? Like you plan to use your own daughter's future as collateral? Car doors open in the distance. Footsteps approach. You knew? Marcus turns to me, realization dawning. When did you? At the cafe, I say. When she met with me. No other woman would wear evidence of her affair to confront the wife. Unless she wanted me to see it. Unless she needed me to understand what kind of man you really are. We couldn't tell you, Vivian says to me. Not until we had everything. Your real investigation helped push him into making mistakes. Marcus lunges, not at me, but at the USB drive. I let him grab it. Check it, I tell him. Go ahead. His fingers tremble as he pulls out his phone, plugs in the drive. His face contorts as he reads. It's all about me. Just me. None of the others. Because they're already in custody, Jasper's voice rings out as he steps from behind a pillar, gun drawn. Have been for hours. While you were giving your speech, we were cleaning house. FBI agents emerge from the shadows, surrounding us. Marcus's knees buckle. Agent Morrison, he whispers. Everything, the affair. Was my job, she says flatly. The worst part of it. But we needed you to trust me completely. To show me everything. I watched them lead Marcus away in handcuffs, this man I once loved, now a stranger in expensive clothes and cheap lies. Sawyer, Vivian, Agent Morrison, touches my arm. That moment in the ballroom, when I threatened Lily. I knew you'd choose her. Any good mother would. It's what made you perfect for this. You risked everything on that assumption. No, she smiles slightly. I risked everything on you being exactly who you are, someone who'd never stop fighting for their child. Even if it meant appearing to give up. Jasper approaches with my phone. Lily's safe at Emma's. And her college fund was never touched, Vivian finishes. That email was fake. We needed Marcus to think he had one. I take my phone, looking at the last photo I took of Lily, laughing, innocent, free. Everything I fought to protect. Let's go home, Jasper says softly. I nod, leaving behind the red dress, the lies, and the man who thought he could use our daughter against me. Some mistakes you only make once. Lily's laughter echoes across the playground, mixing with the rustle of autumn leaves. She's showing another little girl how to make leaf angels, spreading her arms wide in demonstration. The other girl copies her, both of them giggling as crisp leaves crackle beneath them. My phone buzzes, the news alert I've been waiting for: financial fraud ring sentenced. Former partner Marcus Bennett faces 20 years. They got what they deserved, Emma says, settling beside me on the park bench. Most of them, anyway. She's right. Some of the bigger fish escaped, their connections too powerful, their tracks too well covered. But Marcus and his immediate circle weren't so lucky. Lily asked about him this morning, I say, watching my daughter create her leaf masterpiece. Asked if he'd be home for Christmas. What did you tell her? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes again. Agent Morrison, Vivian, last testimony wrapped. Thought you should know, he tried to make a deal, offering information about your brother's cold case. Turns out he was bluffing. Never had anything. Of course he didn't. His final attempt at leverage, as empty as everything else about him. Mommy, look. Lily runs over, leaves in her hair, cheeks flushed with excitement. Sarah's coming to my birthday next week. Can we have chocolate cake? I pull a leaf from her curls. Whatever you want, baby. She beams, running back to her new friend. I watch her go, remembering that night she saw Vivian in Marcus's hotel room. How one innocent observation brought down an empire of lies. You never answered my question, Emma nudges me. What did you tell her about Marcus? The truth. That sometimes people we love make choices that hurt others, and those choices have consequences. That her daddy made some bad decisions, but that doesn't change how much he loves her. Very diplomatic. I learn from the best. I gesture to my phone, where Vivian's message still glows. Speaking of which. I type a reply, thank you. For everything. Her response is immediate, no thanks needed. But if you're ever interested in a career change, the Bureau could use someone with your instincts. Emma reads over my shoulder and snorts. Federal Agent Sawyer. Has a ring to it. I think I've had enough of undercover work. I stand up, stretching. Besides, I start teaching next semester. Literature and ethics. Apparently my story about corporate fraud made quite an impression on the hiring committee. Professor Bennett, then? Professor Sawyer, I correct her. Some names were better off without. Lily waves from the playground, calling Sarah to look at something she's found. Probably another perfect leaf for her collection. She has her father's charm but none of his darkness, proof that some things can be inherited while others are chosen. My phone buzzes one final time. Unknown number, but I know who it is. The trust fund is restored. With interest. It's the least I can do. M. I delete the message without responding. Some debts can't be repaid with money, and some bridges stay burned. Ready to go, baby? I call to Lily. Aunt Emma's making dinner tonight. She runs over, dragging Sarah with her. Can Sarah come too? Please? I look at Sarah's mother, who's approaching with a warm smile. Another single mom, I'd learned, navigating her own path through life's complications. Actually, Sarah's mom says, I make a mean apple pie. If you'd like some company. Emma grins at me, eyebrows raised suggestively. I roll my eyes at her before turning back to Sarah's mom. We'd love some, I say, surprising myself with how much I mean it. As we walk to the parking lot, Lily and Sarah skipping ahead, I realize something. Revenge wasn't the answer I needed. Neither was justice, really. What I needed was this, the freedom to start again, to choose my own path, to show my daughter that life's greatest victories sometimes come disguised as defeats. And maybe, just maybe, to learn that some of the best chapters start after you think the story's over.
The call came during a board meeting. My phone vibrated against the conference table, drawing irritated glances from my colleagues. I usually silence it completely, but something made me keep it on vibrate that day. Maybe some part of me knew. Sierra, there's been an accident. The nurse's voice was practiced, professional. Your parents were brought in 20 minutes ago. You need to come to Memorial right away. I remember standing up, my chair scraping against the floor. The sound felt distant, like it belonged to someone else's life. Someone else's emergency. The quarterly reports scattered beneath my hands, numbers blurring into meaningless shapes. I have to go, I said to no one in particular. Ryan, my husband, wasn't in the office that day. Another startup meeting, he'd said. They were becoming more frequent lately. The drive to Memorial Hospital was a study in suspended animation. Every red light lasted an eternity. Every green light felt too brief. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white, and I kept thinking about how Mom had called just yesterday to tell me about their anniversary plans. 35 years. Dad had something special planned, she'd said. The emergency room reeked of antiseptic and despair. A nurse directed me to a small waiting room, where a doctor in rumpled scrubs was already waiting. His face told me everything before he opened his mouth. Mrs. Mitchell, he began, but I cut him off. Johnson. I kept my name. Just tell me. He nodded, probably thinking I was one of those modern feminist types. If he only knew it was because Ryan's mother had thrown such a fit about it at the wedding. Your mother didn't survive the impact. We did everything we could, but the injuries were too severe. The words hit like physical blows, but there was more. There's always more. Your father is in surgery. The crash, there's significant damage to his spine. We won't know the full extent until he's stable, but you should prepare yourself for the possibility of paralysis. I sat down. Or maybe my legs just gave out. The vinyl chair squeaked beneath me, and I focused on that sound because it was easier than processing anything else. The other driver? I heard myself ask. Fled the scene. Police are investigating. Hours passed in that waiting room. Ryan didn't answer my calls. His sister Laura texted to say he was in an important meeting and couldn't be disturbed. I watched the surgery board, tracking Dad's progress through cryptic abbreviations and status updates. Finally, another doctor appeared. Different scrubs, same grim expression. The surgery was successful, but... She paused, probably searching for gentle words. I wanted to tell her not to bother. Gentle words wouldn't change the reality. Your father is paralyzed from the waist down. The damage was too extensive. I nodded, numb. Can I see him? He's in recovery. Once we move him to ICU, you can have a few minutes. When I finally saw him, tubes snaking from his body and monitors beeping their steady rhythm, I barely recognized him. Dad had always been larger than life, the investigative journalist who took down corrupt politicians, the man who taught me to stand up for what's right. Now he looked small, diminished. His eyes fluttered open, focusing on me with difficulty. Grace, he whispered. No, Dad. It's Sierra. Sierra. His voice cracked. Your mother. I know. I took his hand, careful of the 4 lines. I know. He turned his face away, but not before I saw the tears. In 32 years, I'd never seen my father cry. That's when it really hit me, everything had changed. My mother was gone, my father broken, and somewhere out there, someone was responsible. My phone buzzed again. Ryan, finally returning my calls. But as I looked at my father's ravaged face, I let it go to voicemail. Some things matter more than others. Some things demand your full attention. And some things demand justice. Moving back into my childhood home felt like stepping into a time capsule. Everything was exactly as Mom had left it, her gardening magazine still open on the coffee table, her coffee mug unwashed in the sink. I couldn't bring myself to touch any of it. This is completely unnecessary, Martha said, inspecting the living room like she was conducting a health inspection. There are excellent care facilities that specialize in cases like Tom's. I continued unpacking medical supplies, refusing to look at my mother-in-law. Dad's coming home tomorrow. The decision's been made. Ryan tells me you're taking a leave of absence from work. Her voice dripped with disapproval. That seems rather impulsive. The bandages in my hands crinkled as I gripped them tighter. Someone needs to be here. And that someone has to be you? Laura chimed in from the doorway, arms crossed. What about your marriage? Ryan's at such a crucial point with his startup. I straightened up, facing them both. Ryan understands. Does he? Martha's perfectly manicured nails drummed against her designer purse. Because he mentioned you haven't been home in 3 days. I've been at the hospital with my father, who just lost his wife and the use of his legs. Where has Ryan been? The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. Laura shifted uncomfortably, but Martha held my gaze with steel in her eyes. Business meetings, she said finally. Important ones. The kind that secure your comfortable lifestyle. My phone buzzed, the hospital calling about Dad's discharge tomorrow. I answered it, turning my back on both women. As I discussed medications and care schedules, I heard them whispering behind me. Probably plotting their next assault on my life choices. After I hung up, Martha cleared her throat. We're having a family dinner next Sunday. The investors will be there. Ryan needs you present. I can't leave Dad alone that long. Hire a nurse for the evening, Laura suggested, as if it were that simple. As if Dad wasn't still calling out for Mom in his sleep. I'll think about it. I wouldn't. They left eventually, their disapproval lingering like cheap perfume. I was scrubbing Mom's coffee mug when Ryan finally showed up, looking exhausted in his rumpled suit. They mean well, he said, loosening his tie. They're just worried about us. They're worried about appearances. I put the mug back in the sink, still unwashed. Where were you today? Meetings. The series of funding is almost secured. He reached for me, but I stepped back. Sierra, come on. Don't be like this. Like what? A grieving daughter? An attentive caregiver? A disappointing wife? That's not fair. No? I pulled out my phone, showing him the missed calls from the hospital. I needed you there. I needed my husband. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it hurt. I'm trying to build something here. For us. For our future. And I'm trying to keep what's left of my family alive. The words came out sharper than intended, but I didn't take them back. Ryan's phone chimed, another message, another meeting probably. He checked it reflexively, his face changing for just a second before he schooled his features. I should go, he said. Early meeting tomorrow. I watched him leave, noticed how he didn't kiss me goodbye. Through the window, I saw Martha's car still parked down the street. Waiting for him, probably. Planning their next move in whatever game they were playing. The house creaked around me, full of ghosts and memories. Mom's voice seemed to echo in the empty spaces. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are. The trick is believing them the first time. I picked up Mom's coffee mug again, finally ready to wash it. As the water ran over my hands, I made a decision. If Martha and Ryan wanted to play games, fine. But they'd forgotten something crucial about me. I was Tom Johnson's daughter. The man who'd exposed corruption and brought down empires with nothing but truth and determination. And I'd learned from the best. Let them plot and scheme. I had work to do. Old habits die hard. Even with everything happening, I couldn't help checking our joint accounts. The accountant in me needed the comfort of numbers. That's when I noticed the first discrepancy. A wire transfer for $50,000 to an account I didn't recognize. I was sitting at Dad's kitchen table, surrounded by medical bills and insurance forms, when I started digging deeper. More transfers. Different amounts, different accounts, all authorized by Ryan. The total made my stomach turn, nearly $500,000. Something wrong? Dad wheeled himself into the kitchen, his newspaper folded in his lap. You've got that look your mother used to get when she was balancing the checkbook. I closed my laptop. Just some work stuff. Sierra. His voice carried the weight of 30 years in investigative journalism. Don't lie to your father. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Laura. Mom wants to know if you're coming to the investor dinner Sunday. Ryan needs an answer. I ignored it. Dad, when you were investigating the Thompson scandal, how did you know where to look? He set his newspaper aside, studying me. Follow the money. It always leads somewhere interesting. A pause. What kind of trouble is Ryan in? I don't know yet. I reopened my laptop. But I'm going to find out. That evening, I drove to Ryan's office. The startup had taken over an entire floor of a downtown building, Martha's connections at work, no doubt. The security guard knew me, waved me through. The office was mostly empty, but light spilled from Ryan's corner office. I heard voices as I approached, his and a woman's. They were laughing. The transfer went through? The woman asked. Smooth as silk, Ryan replied. Mother's connections at the bank really came through. I stepped into the doorway. Ryan was perched on his desk, leaning toward a striking blonde woman in an expensive suit. They jumped apart when they saw me. Sierra. Ryan straightened his tie. What are you doing here? Following the money. I looked at the blonde. You must be Cassandra. The new CFO? The woman smiled, all perfect teeth and practiced charm. Ryan's told me so much about you. Funny. He's never mentioned you. Ryan moved between us. Cass, could you give us a minute? She gathered her things, brushing past me with a knowing smirk. Once she was gone, Ryan's charm offensive kicked in. It's not what you think. $500,000, Ryan. Where is it? His face changed, confidence replacing concern. Business investments. The startup needs. Don't. I pulled out my phone, showed him the transfer records. These accounts trace back to shell companies. I'm an accountant, remember? This is what I do. You've been spying on me? You've been stealing from us. He ran a hand through his hair, that familiar gesture again, but now it felt calculated, rehearsed. Everything I do is for us. For our future. You've been so focused on your father, you can't see the bigger picture. The bigger picture? My laugh sounded strange, even to me. My mother is dead. My father is paralyzed. And you're embezzling money with your girlfriend. Cassandra is a business associate. Is that what Martha calls her too? His expression hardened. Leave my mother out of this. Why? She's clearly involved. I moved closer, watching his reaction. Did she help you set up those accounts? Is that why she's so invested in your success? Ryan's phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. He glanced at it, then back at me. Go home, Sierra. You're upset, not thinking clearly. I'm thinking very clearly. I headed for the door, then stopped. One more thing. I'm freezing our accounts. All of them. Good luck explaining that to your investors. You can't do that. Watch me. I walked out, my heels clicking against the marble floor. Behind me, I heard Ryan making a frantic phone call, probably to Martha. Let them scramble. Let them worry. Dad was right. Follow the money. It always leads somewhere interesting. And I was just getting started. The manila envelope arrived 3 days after I froze the accounts. No return address, just my name typed in clean, professional font. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Ryan and Cassandra at restaurants, hotels, intimate moments they thought were private. But it was the last photo that made my hands shake. Martha, Ryan, and Cassandra in Martha's study, spreading documents across her antique desk. Dad found me staring at that photo, my coffee gone cold beside me. Someone's trying to help you, he said, wheeling closer. Or hurt you. Sometimes it's the same thing. I know who sent these. Laura's passive-aggressive streak had finally found a useful outlet. She'd always resented being left out of Martha's schemes. My phone lit up with a text from Ryan, "We need to talk. Coming over tonight." I showed Dad the message. He folded his newspaper carefully, the way he always did before saying something important. Your mother never trusted Martha, you know. Said she reminded her of a spider, always spinning webs. Why didn't Mom ever say anything to me? She wanted you to make your own choices. He smiled sadly. She also said you'd figure it out eventually. You have her instincts. The doorbell rang at exactly 7. Ryan stood there with takeout from my favorite restaurant, a peace offering. Behind him, I spotted Martha's car idling at the curb. Your mother's new chauffeur service? I asked, letting him in. She's worried about you. We all are. He set the food down, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. Sierra, please. Let me explain about the accounts. Which part? The embezzlement or the affair? His face paled. How did you? I spread the photos across the kitchen counter. He stared at them, then at me, calculations running behind his eyes. It's not what you think, he started, but I cut him off. Stop lying. I've seen the transfer records, the hotel receipts, everything. What I don't understand is why Martha's involved. My mother's just trying to protect the company. The company, or you? A noise from the hallway made us both turn. Dad had wheeled himself to the kitchen doorway. Evening, Ryan. Leaving so soon? Ryan straightened his tie, another tell I'd never noticed before. Actually, Tom, I need to speak with Sierra privately. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone, I think we should all hear what the police have to say about those transfers. You wouldn't. But his voice wavered. Try me. He grabbed my wrist. Think about what you're doing. This could ruin everything. Ryan. Dad's voice carried the weight of his old investigative days. Take your hand off my daughter. The moment stretched, taut as a wire. Then Ryan let go, backing away. You're making a mistake. Mother was right about you, you're just like your father. Always chasing stories, never seeing the bigger picture. The picture looks pretty clear from here, I said, showing him the photo of him with Martha and Cassandra. How long has your mother been running your life? Or is it the other way around? His phone buzzed, Martha, probably wondering why he was taking so long. He checked it reflexively, then headed for the door. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I followed him. Tell your mother I said thanks for the wedding china. I'll send it back piece by piece. After he left, Dad wheeled over to the window. We watched Martha's car pull away, its taillights disappearing into the darkness. You know they'll retaliate, he said quietly. I gathered the photos, adding them to my growing file of evidence. I'm counting on it. Your mother would be proud. He paused. And worried. I touched the empty space on my finger where my wedding ring used to be. Mom taught me to care for people. You taught me to fight for the truth. I'm doing both. Outside, thunder rumbled, a storm rolling in. Perfect weather for what came next. The social worker's office felt too small, too warm. Martha sat across from me, perfectly composed in her designer suit, while Laura hovered by the window like an anxious shadow. We're concerned about Tom's care situation, Martha said, her voice dripping with manufactured concern. Living alone with a daughter who's clearly struggling with her mental health. I'm not struggling with anything, I cut in, but the social worker was already making notes. Mrs. Mitchell tells me you've been making accusations about your husband's business dealings, the social worker said. And that you've become increasingly paranoid. I looked at Martha, really looked at her. The carefully crafted concern, the subtle manipulation. This wasn't just retaliation, this was elimination. Show her the photos, Laura, Martha commanded. Laura pulled out her phone, hands shaking slightly. Sierra's been following Ryan, taking pictures. It's obsessive. The social worker examined the photos, my own surveillance pictures, carefully edited to look like stalking. I recognized Martha's touch, the way she could twist truth into poison. These are concerning, the social worker said. We just want what's best for Tom, Martha added. A professional care facility. Over my dead body. The words came out before I could stop them. You see? Martha raised an eyebrow. These emotional outbursts. My phone buzzed, Dad's caregiver. I answered despite the social worker's frown. Hello? Sierra, you need to come home. Your father's fallen. The world tilted. I stood up, gathering my things. This meeting is over. Running away won't help your case, Martha called after me. I turned back. You know what's interesting, Martha? I've been recording everything since I walked in. Including Laura's admission about the edited photos. Laura's face went pale. Martha's mask slipped for just a second, showing the rage beneath. And I've already submitted documentation about Ryan's financial fraud to the SEC, I added. They're very interested in your involvement. The drive home was a blur. I found Dad in his study, shaken but okay. The caregiver had caught him before he hit the ground. I'm fine, he insisted as I checked him over. Just got dizzy reaching for a book. Which book? He pointed to Mom's old photo album. I retrieved it, recognizing the determination in his eyes. There's something you need to see, he said, opening to a marked page. About the accident. The photo showed Mom and Martha at some charity event years ago. They were smiling, but Mom's eyes were hard. Your mother was investigating Martha, Dad said quietly. Financial fraud, money laundering. She found something big, right before. My hands went numb. The accident. The police never found the other driver. The implications hit like a physical blow. I sat down hard, the photo album sliding from my lap. My phone buzzed again, Ryan. Sierra, whatever you're planning, stop. Please. You don't understand what Mother's capable of. I thought of Mom, of Dad in his wheelchair, of all the carefully orchestrated destruction. Actually, I said, I'm starting to understand perfectly. After hanging up, I found Dad watching me with concern. Your mother wanted justice, he said. But she also wanted you safe. And what do you want? He wheeled closer, taking my hand. I want you to be smarter than we were. Martha's dangerous, but she's also careful. She won't make the same mistake twice. No, I agreed, picking up the photo album. She'll make new ones. I spent the night digitizing Mom's research, adding it to my own evidence. In the morning, I had 2 missed calls from Laura and a text from Ryan, Mother knows what you're doing. Don't make her choose. I looked at Dad, peaceful in his morning routine, unaware of how close we'd come to losing each other. Martha had tried to take him away, just like she'd taken Mom. Some lines shouldn't be crossed. I picked up my phone and dialed. "Hello, this is Sierra Johnson. I'd like to speak to the lead investigator on my mother's accident case. I have new evidence to submit." The game was changing. Martha wanted to play hardball? Fine. Let's play. The break-in happened while Dad was at physical therapy. I came home to find the front door unlocked, Mom's research scattered across the floor, and her photo album missing. But they'd left something behind, a single photo on the kitchen counter. Mom and Martha at that charity event, now torn in half. My phone rang. "Martha. Consider this a warning," she said without preamble. "Your mother didn't listen either. You won't get away with this." "I already have. Check your email." I pulled up my inbox with trembling hands. There it was, a message from the SEC. My evidence submission had been rejected. Insufficient proof. Case closed. "Amazing how the right connections can make problems disappear," Martha said. "Now, about your father's care situation." A text from Laura interrupted, "Police at Ryan's office. They're asking about financial fraud." My heart stopped. Martha was still talking, but I wasn't listening anymore. She'd played me perfectly, used my own evidence to frame Ryan instead. "You can't protect everyone, Sierra," Martha continued. "Choose wisely." I drove to Ryan's office, breaking every speed limit. Police cars surrounded the building. Through the glass doors, I saw Ryan in handcuffs, his face ashen. Our eyes met as they led him out. "I tried to warn you," he said as they passed. "You never understood what she's capable of." Cassandra appeared beside me, watching Ryan's departure with calculated interest. "Martha sends her regards. She says to remind you about the social worker's report." The pieces clicked together. If Ryan went down for fraud, I'd lose everything, including custody of Dad. Martha had orchestrated the perfect trap. Back home, Dad was waiting. "The caregiver quit," he said quietly. "Got a better offer, apparently." I sank into Mom's old chair, defeat washing over me. "I'm sorry, Dad. I thought I could fix everything, but I just made it worse." "Your mother said the same thing, right before." He wheeled closer, taking my hand. "She was going to expose Martha's schemes. Then the accident happened." "It wasn't an accident." "No." He pressed something into my palm, a small USB drive. "But your mother was smarter than they knew. She kept a backup." My phone buzzed again, an unknown number. The voice was familiar, "Laura." "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. "Meet me at the old boathouse. There's something you need to see." "It's a trap," Dad warned. "Probably." I stood up, pocketing the USB drive. "But it might be our only chance." The boathouse was dark when I arrived. Laura emerged from the shadows, looking over her shoulder. "Mother doesn't know I'm here," she said. "But she's planning something. Something big." Ryan was just the beginning. "Why are you helping me?" "Because I was there that night. The night your mom." She swallowed hard. "Mother made me watch. Said I needed to learn about loyalty." A car door slammed nearby. Laura's eyes widened with fear. "She followed me," she whispered. "You need to." Headlights swept across the boathouse. Martha's voice carried through the darkness, "Laura, darling, come out now." Laura shoved a folder into my hands. "Evidence. The real story. But you didn't get it from me." She stepped out into the light, leaving me hidden in the shadows. I heard Martha's cold greeting, Laura's mumbled excuses. "Get in the car," Martha commanded. "We'll discuss your disloyalty at home." I waited until they left, before opening the folder. Inside was everything, bank records, shell companies, and a detailed account of Mom's accident. But something felt wrong. The documents were too perfect, too complete. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Wrong choice, Sierra. Check on your father. I ran to my car, dialing home. No answer. The USB drive felt heavy in my pocket. Mom's real evidence, not Martha's carefully crafted trap. Sometimes winning means losing everything first. I started the engine, my decision made. Martha wanted to play games with evidence and loyalty? Fine. But this time, we'd play by Mom's rules. The Mitchell family's annual charity gala buzzed with wealth and whispers. I walked in wearing Mom's old pearl necklace, USB drive secure in my clutch. Martha held court near the stage, Laura hovering nearby like a nervous shadow. Sierra. Martha's smile didn't reach her eyes. Bold of you to come. How's Tom? Safe. I matched her tone. Unlike Ryan. Her perfectly manicured hand tightened around her champagne flute. Such a shame about his legal troubles. Perhaps if you'd been a more attentive wife. Or if you'd been a less controlling mother. The surrounding conversations quieted. Martha's smile turned razor-sharp. Careful, dear. You're not the only one with evidence. You mean this? I held up Laura's folder. Your carefully crafted trap? Laura told me everything. Laura flinched. Martha's expression flickered, just for a moment, but I caught it. Did she? Martha glanced at her daughter. Laura, darling, tell Sierra what really happened the night Grace died. Laura went pale. Mother, please. Tell her who was driving the car. The room spun. I looked at Laura, really looked at her. The guilt in her eyes told me everything. Mother made me, Laura whispered. She said it was just to scare them, to stop Grace from exposing everything. I didn't know. Enough. Martha's voice cracked like a whip. Sierra, let's take this somewhere private. No. I pulled out my phone, already streaming. Let's do this right here. Mom's evidence, the real evidence, is being uploaded to every major news outlet right now. Martha laughed, but there was an edge to it. What evidence? We took everything. Not everything. I touched Mom's pearl necklace. Dad wasn't the only journalist in the family. Mom had her own methods. Recognition dawned in Martha's eyes. The pearls, Mom's backup drive, hidden in plain sight all these years. You're bluffing. I held up my phone, showing the upload progress. Want to bet your reputation on that? Martha moved with surprising speed, reaching for my phone. I stepped back, bumping into someone, Ryan, just released on bail. It's over, Mother, he said quietly. I've already testified. Martha froze. You wouldn't betray your own mother. Like you betrayed me? Set me up to take the fall? Ryan's voice shook. I saw the evidence. I know what you did to Grace. Everything I did was for this family. Martha's composure cracked. Grace was going to destroy us. Laura understood that, didn't you, darling? But Laura was backing away, tears streaming down her face. I can't. I can't keep lying. The other guests were openly staring now. Martha's carefully constructed world was unraveling thread by thread. Last chance, I said. Confess. To everything. Or I release Mom's evidence and let the courts decide. You're just like her, Martha spat. Self-righteous, thinking you know best. Grace never understood that sometimes bad things are necessary. Necessary? My voice rose. Like killing my mother? Paralyzing my father? Destroying your own son? I protected what was mine. Martha's mask finally shattered. Grace was going to expose decades of work. Our reputation, our position, everything would have been lost. She had to be stopped. The room went deadly quiet. Martha realized too late what she'd said, and to whom. Police officers emerged from the crowd, they'd been waiting for exactly this. Martha Mitchell, one began, "You're under arrest." I watched them lead her away, Laura sobbing quietly beside me. Ryan touched my arm. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "For everything." "I know." I stepped back. "But sorry isn't enough anymore." The pearls felt warm against my throat, Mom's last gift, her final piece of evidence. She'd known, somehow, that this day would come. That truth would need a guardian. Martha turned at the door, her eyes meeting mine. In that moment, I saw not a monster, but a woman who'd lost herself to power and control. "You've destroyed everything," she said. "No." I touched the pearls again. "I just finished what Mom started." Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, passed down through generations, waiting for the right moment to speak its truth. The verdict came down on a Tuesday. I sat in the courtroom, Mom's pearl necklace warm against my throat, as Martha Mitchell received her sentence. 20 years. Laura got 5, with possibility of parole. She wouldn't look at me as they led her away. Ryan waited outside the courthouse, his tie loosened, shadows under his eyes. "The company's finished," he said. "Everything Mother built." "Everything she stole," I corrected. He nodded, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "I signed the divorce papers." "They're with your lawyer." "Thank you." "Sierra." He hesitated. "I never wanted any of this." "But you let it happen." I touched the pearls. "We all did, until Mom stood up." At home, Dad had spread old photos across the kitchen table. Not the staged charity galas or corporate events, but real moments, Mom in her garden, laughing at something off camera. Me as a child, perched on Dad's shoulders. "Found something interesting," he said, wheeling back to show me a photo I'd never seen. Mom at her desk, writing in a journal. "Your mother's diary." It was hidden in the attic. My hand shook as I opened it. The last entry was dated the day before the accident. "Some truths cost everything. But silence costs more." The doorbell rang. Laura stood on the porch, looking small without Martha's shadow looming over her. "I'm turning state's evidence," she said. "About everything. Not just Mom's schemes, but the other families she destroyed, the lives she ruined." She pulled out an envelope. "Including this." Inside was a letter from Mom to Martha, dated just before the accident. A final warning, a last chance at redemption. Martha had chosen power instead. "I never got to say sorry," Laura whispered. "To any of them. Sometimes sorry isn't enough." I handed back the envelope. "But the truth is a start." After she left, I found Dad in Mom's garden. The roses she'd planted were blooming, defiant against the autumn chill. "You know what your mother would say about all this?" He gestured at the flowers. "Life finds a way." I pressed a hand to my stomach, where the first flutter of movement had started yesterday. I hadn't told anyone yet, this secret was mine to keep, at least for now. "The detective called," I said instead. "They're reopening the old cases Martha buried." "All of them?" Dad nodded. "Justice is patient. So is revenge. They're not always different things." He wheeled toward the roses. "Your mother understood that. Every truth she uncovered was both justice and vengeance, for someone." The setting sun painted the garden in shades of gold and shadow. Mom's diary sat heavy in my lap, full of truths still waiting to be heard. Laura's testimony would unravel decades of Martha's schemes. Ryan's company would be dismantled, its stolen assets returned. But here, in this garden, none of that seemed to matter as much as the roses Mom had planted, blooming against all odds. "I miss her," I said quietly. "She's here." Dad touched a rose petal. "In the truth you fought for. In the justice you won. In the life you're choosing." I felt another flutter, my own secret, my own truth, growing stronger each day. Not a weapon like Martha's secrets, not a shield like Mom's evidence, but something entirely new. The pearls caught the last light of day, their surface smooth against my fingers. Mom's final gift hadn't just been evidence, it had been a choice. Truth or silence. Justice or comfort. Love or power. She'd chosen. So had Martha. So had I. Dad smiled, a knowing look in his eyes. Your mother always said the best revenge is living well. I touched my stomach again, feeling the future move beneath my hand. No, I corrected gently. The best revenge is living true. The roses nodded in the evening breeze, witnesses to a story that had ended and another just beginning. Some truths cost everything, but silence costs more. I was done being silent.
The laptop screen cast a harsh glow across my face as I stared at the email thread, my fingers hovering motionless over the keyboard. 3 hours had passed since I'd accidentally stumbled into Ryan's account, left open on our shared computer, and I still couldn't process what I was reading. I'm Iris, and until tonight, I thought I understood my marriage. Have you managed to keep her focused where we discussed? Evelyn's message read. Remember, darling, a wife who feels too independent becomes difficult to guide. Our plan needs patience. My husband's response made my stomach turn. Don't worry, Mother. Iris still thinks everything's her idea. The transfer will happen soon enough. The words blurred as tears threatened to spill. I blinked them back, refusing to cry. The timestamp showed this exchange happened just yesterday, while Ryan and I were planning our future together over dinner. While he smiled and nodded at my career goals, he was plotting with his mother to, what exactly? Control me? Steal from me? My phone buzzed. Ryan's face lit up the screen. Hey, beautiful? Running late at the office? Don't wait up. I cleared my throat. No problem. Everything okay? Just finishing up some reports. Miss you. The casual lie in his voice made my skin crawl. I'd seen his calendar. He had dinner scheduled with Evelyn tonight, another secret meeting to discuss their plan. Miss you too, I managed, the words tasting like ash. After hanging up, I scrolled through months of correspondence between them. Each message revealed new layers of manipulation. They discussed everything from undermining my confidence at work to slowly isolating me from my friends. Even my recent promotion had been a source of concern for them. She's getting too ambitious, Evelyn had written. Remember what happened with your father when he started believing he could make decisions without me. The front door clicked open downstairs. I quickly closed the laptop and moved to our bedroom, mind racing. Ryan's footsteps on the stairs were steady, unhurried, the pace of a man who believed his secrets were safe. You're still up? He appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie. The familiar gesture seemed sinister now, like watching an actor perform a well-rehearsed role. Couldn't sleep. I forced a smile. How was work? Brutal. These quarterly reports are killing me. He sat on the bed, reaching for my hand. You okay? You look tense. I let him take it, studying his face. The concern in his eyes seemed genuine, and that was perhaps the most terrifying part. He'd gotten so good at this. Actually, I wanted to talk about something. I kept my voice steady. I've been thinking about our joint account. His fingers twitched almost imperceptibly against mine. What about it? I'm considering separating our finances, for tax purposes. The flash of panic in his eyes confirmed everything. He recovered quickly, but not quickly enough. Why would you want to do that? His tone was carefully neutral. We've always handled everything together, as partners. Partners. The word hung between us like a bad joke. Just a thought, I said, pulling my hand away. We can discuss it tomorrow. You must be tired after dinner with your mother. He froze for a split second. What? Oh, sorry, I meant after your late meeting. My mistake. The silence that followed was deafening. Ryan's face went through a series of micro-expressions: surprise, fear, calculation, and finally, something close to anger. Have you been checking my calendar? His voice had an edge I'd never heard before. Does it matter? I met his gaze steadily. We're partners, aren't we? He stood up abruptly. I need a shower. As the bathroom door closed behind him, I heard him pulling out his phone, no doubt calling Evelyn, reporting this unexpected development in their careful plans. I lay back on the bed, mind already racing ahead. They thought they were so clever, playing their long game, but they'd forgotten something crucial. I wasn't the same naive woman they'd started manipulating 3 years ago, and now that I knew the truth, I had plans of my own. 3 days after discovering the emails, I came home to find Evelyn's Mercedes parked in our driveway. Moving boxes were stacked by the front door, and the sound of her voice drifted from inside our house, my house, like poison in the air. Really, darling, the guest room is perfect. I can keep an eye on everything from there. I stood frozen on the doorstep, my work bag suddenly heavy on my shoulder. Ryan appeared in the hallway, carrying another box. Surprise? He beamed, as if he'd just arranged the most thoughtful gift. Mom's pipes burst at her place. She'll be staying with us for a while. The calculated timing was impressive. Of course she'd show up now, just when I was starting to piece together their scheme. How long is a while? I managed to ask. Oh, don't worry about that, dear. Evelyn emerged from the guest room, her perfectly manicured hands clasped together. The contractor said it could be weeks, maybe months, but I'll make myself useful. I know how overwhelmed you've been lately. My fingers tightened around my bag strap. I'm not overwhelmed. Now. She patted my arm as she passed, her touch light, but somehow invasive. Ryan tells me you've been acting rather stressed, checking his calendar, asking about finances. That's not like you at all. The look she gave me was pure concern, but her eyes were sharp as razors. Ryan shifted uncomfortably between us. I thought having Mom here might help, he said. You know, take some pressure off. Pressure, I repeated. The word tasted bitter. Right. That night, I lay awake listening to their muffled voices from downstairs. The guest room shared a wall with our bedroom, and I could hear Evelyn unpacking, each drawer closing like a countdown to something inevitable. My phone lit up with a text from Ryan. Coming to bed soon. Love you. He was 20 feet away in our own house, texting instead of speaking. The distance wasn't physical anymore. The next morning, I found Evelyn reorganizing my kitchen cabinets. The flow was all wrong, she explained, not looking up. Ryan always said you struggled with organization. But don't worry, I'll fix everything. I opened my mouth to object, but she was already continuing. Oh, and I took the liberty of canceling your dinner plans with Sarah tonight. Ryan mentioned you've been working so hard lately. You need rest, not social obligations. My coffee cup hit the counter harder than intended. You did what? It's for the best, dear. Sarah's influence hasn't been beneficial lately, all that talk about independent women and career advancement. She smiled, sugar sweet. Sometimes friends can plant dangerous ideas. The pieces clicked together. Sarah had been encouraging me to apply for a director position, a promotion that would put me ahead of Ryan in salary. I can manage my own social calendar, I said, keeping my voice level. Of course you can, dear. She reached up to pat my cheek. But as Ryan's mother, it's my duty to protect this marriage. We wouldn't want you making any impulsive decisions. The threat was clear beneath her words. I stepped back, my mind racing. They were moving faster than I'd anticipated, already working to isolate me. That evening, Ryan came home early for the first time in months. He found me in our home office, supposedly working late. Mom made dinner, he said, hovering in the doorway. Your favorite. I didn't look up from my laptop. Not hungry. He sighed. Iris, I know this is an adjustment, but Mom means well. She just wants to help. Help with what, exactly? The question hung between us. I finally looked at him, really looked at him. The man I married was still there somewhere, buried beneath layers of his mother's manipulation. But I couldn't reach him anymore. Come down to dinner, he said softly. Please? For me? I closed my laptop. Of course. Wouldn't want to disappoint anyone. As I followed him downstairs, I could feel Evelyn's satisfaction radiating through the house. She thought she was tightening her grip, but she'd made a crucial mistake. In trying to control every aspect of my life, she'd given me a front row seat to their operation, and I intended to take careful notes. The bank statement trembled in my hands as I stared at the transaction history. Over the past 6 months, nearly $40,000 had been siphoned from our joint savings account through a series of small transfers. Each one labeled as household expenses or maintenance costs, all authorized by Ryan. I'd been tracking the money trail for weeks, watching our account balance dwindle while Evelyn paraded around in new designer outfits, and Ryan made excuses about inflation and rising costs. But seeing the full scope of their deception made my chest tight with rage. A knock at my office door startled me. "Come in," I called, quickly minimizing the browser window. "Mrs. Mitchell?" My assistant poked her head in. "There's a David Carter here to see you. Says it's personal?" The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Evelyn's ex-husband. What could he possibly want? "Send him in." David Carter looked nothing like I'd imagined from Evelyn's bitter descriptions of her failure of an ex. He was tall, distinguished, with kind eyes that carried a familiar wariness I recognized from my own mirror. "Iris," he said, closing the door behind him. "I hope you'll forgive the intrusion, but when I heard Evelyn moved in with you and Ryan—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Let's just say I couldn't stay silent anymore." "How did you know where to find me?" "My wife Sophia works in marketing too. Different firm, but same circles." He sat down, his expression grave. "We've been watching Evelyn's patterns repeat themselves. The same tactics she used to destroy our marriage, she's using on you." My throat tightened. "The money." He nodded. "Started small with us too. Then suddenly, I was drowning in debt I couldn't explain. By the time I figured it out..." He pulled out his phone, scrolling through some documents. "Well, let's just say you're catching on faster than I did." The office door burst open. Ryan stood there, his face flushed with anger. "What the hell is this?" "Ryan," I started, but he cut me off. "Mother warned me you might try something like this." His voice shook. "Meeting with her ex-husband, behind my back?" David stood slowly. "Your mother warned you because she knew I'd tell the truth about her, about what she did to our family." "Get out." Ryan's hands were clenched into fists. "You have no right to be here." "Actually," I said, standing up, "I invited him." The lie came easily. Because I needed answers about the $40,000 you and your mother stole from our savings. The color drained from Ryan's face. "That's not... I can explain." "Mrs. Bennett?" My assistant appeared behind Ryan, looking concerned. "Security is on their way up." "That won't be necessary," David said calmly. "I'm leaving. But Iris, my wife, and I would love to have you over for dinner sometime, when you're ready to hear the whole story." He handed me a business card and walked out, leaving Ryan and me in a silence thick with unspoken accusations. "You had no right," Ryan finally said, his voice low and dangerous. "That money was for our future." "Our future," I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "Or your mother's shopping addiction." "She needed help. After everything she's done for us." "For you," I corrected. "Everything she's done for you. And now you're letting her destroy our marriage, just like she destroyed hers." His face hardened. "You don't understand anything about my mother." "No," I said quietly. "But I'm starting to understand everything about you." That night I sat in my car outside David and Sophia's house, their business card crumpled in my hand. Through their window I could see them moving around their kitchen, cooking together, laughing. They looked peaceful, happy. My phone buzzed with another text from Ryan. "Where are you? Mom's worried." Of course she was. Her carefully constructed web was starting to unravel, and she could feel her grip loosening. I took a deep breath and got out of the car. It was time to learn exactly what I was up against, and more importantly, how to fight back. As I walked toward their front door, I felt something shift inside me. The last traces of doubt and guilt melting away, replaced by a cold, clear purpose. They wanted to play games with my life? Fine. But they were about to learn I was done playing by their rules. Sophia's kitchen smelled like fresh coffee and honesty, a combination I hadn't experienced in weeks. She placed a manila folder on the table between us, her expression gentle but firm. "Before you open this," she said, "you need to understand something. What happened to David wasn't just about money. It was about control." My hands hovered over the folder. Inside were copies of bank statements, court documents, and photographs spanning David and Evelyn's marriage. Each page told a story of calculated destruction, assets drained, relationships poisoned, reality twisted until truth became whatever Evelyn declared it to be. "She convinced him he was losing his mind," Sophia continued, "made him doubt every decision, every memory. By the end, he couldn't even trust himself to manage his own bank account." The parallels made my stomach lurch. I thought about the mistakes I'd been making lately, appointments I supposedly forgot, conversations I supposedly misremembered. How Ryan would exchange knowing looks with his mother, their concern masking something darker. My phone buzzed. Another message from Ryan. "Meeting got canceled, coming home early. We need to talk." "They're accelerating their timeline," I said, showing Sophia the text. "Ever since David showed up at my office. They're scared." She leaned forward. "You're not following their script anymore." I flipped through more documents, stopping at a familiar name, Carter Engineering Solutions. This was David's company? Built it from nothing. Evelyn convinced him to add her name to the incorporation documents. For tax purposes, she said. 6 months later, she'd transferred controlling interest to herself and pushed him out of his own business. My hands started shaking. Last week, Ryan had suggested I add him as a partner to my freelance consulting business, for tax purposes. "I have to go," I said, standing abruptly. "I need to get to the bank before—" The next text from Ryan stopped me cold. "Mom's handling some paperwork for us. She says it's urgent." "Don't go home," Sophia said, reading my expression. "Stay here tonight. We can help you figure out—" "No." I gathered my things, mind racing. If I don't show up, they'll know something's wrong. I need to keep playing along until I can protect myself legally. The drive home felt like entering enemy territory. Ryan's car was already in the driveway, along with Evelyn's Mercedes. Through the living room window, I could see them sitting together, heads bent over documents. Inside, the air felt thick with anticipation. Ryan looked up with relief that seemed almost genuine. "There you are. Mom's been helping me organize our finances, making everything more efficient." Evelyn smiled, sliding a stack of papers across the coffee table. "Just a few signatures needed, dear. Standard power of attorney forms. In case anything happens to you, of course. Ryan needs to be able to manage your affairs." My pulse roared in my ears as I picked up the papers, pretending to read them. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I forced myself to sit down instead. "Actually," I said carefully, "I've been thinking about our financial situation too." Ryan and Evelyn exchanged a quick glance. "I'd like to meet with a financial advisor first," I continued, "someone independent, to review everything." "That won't be necessary," Evelyn said sharply. Then, softening her tone, "We're family, dear. Family takes care of its own." I looked at Ryan, really looked at him, searching for any trace of the man I'd married. His eyes dropped to the floor. "You're right," I said, picking up the pen. "Family does take care of its own." I scribbled something that looked nothing like my signature on the last page, buying myself time. Tomorrow, I'd visit my lawyer with David's documents. Tonight, I needed to secure copies of our records before they disappeared. "There," I smiled, standing up. "All done. I should get some work done before bed." As I headed upstairs, I heard Evelyn's satisfied murmur. "See? I told you she'd cooperate eventually." In our bedroom, I opened my laptop and began transferring files to a secure drive. My fake signature wouldn't hold up under scrutiny, I knew that. But it didn't need to. It just needed to keep them confident, while I dismantled their plan piece by piece. The weight of their betrayal pressed against my chest, but something else was growing stronger. Determination. They thought they were closing their trap, but they'd just given me exactly what I needed, proof of their intentions. Now the real work could begin. The annual Mitchell family dinner always felt like a performance, But tonight, the air crackled with something darker. Evelyn had invited the entire extended family to celebrate our growing bonds. 20 relatives packed into our dining room, watching me serve the meal she'd insisted on planning. "Iris, dear, the plates go on the left," Evelyn called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Though I suppose attention to detail isn't your strong suit lately." Ryan's cousins exchanged knowing looks. I set down the plates, my hands steady despite the rage building in my chest. For 2 weeks, I'd been gathering evidence, moving money, preparing my escape. I just needed to maintain the facade a little longer. "Speaking of attention to detail," Evelyn continued, raising her voice further, "Ryan tells me you've been making some concerning decisions at work. Turning down that lateral move he suggested?" I froze. The lateral move was actually a demotion Ryan had tried to convince me to take, one that would have put me under his department's control. "I'm happy in my current position," I said carefully. "Happiness isn't everything, dear. Sometimes we need others to guide us when we're not thinking clearly." She turned to the table. "Did I tell you all about the time Iris forgot to pay our property taxes? Thank goodness Ryan caught it in time." My fingers tightened around the serving spoon. I hadn't forgotten. Ryan had intercepted the mail and hidden the notice, then saved the day by paying it himself. Another piece of their gaslighting puzzle. "Mother," Ryan warned softly, but Evelyn was on a roll. "And now she's been meeting with strange men during work hours. That David Carter fellow?" She shook her head sadly. "When someone starts hiding things from their spouse." The serving spoon clattered to the floor. The room went silent. "Would you like to know what I was really discussing with David?" My voice came out surprisingly calm. "We were talking about how you destroyed his company, how you're trying to do the same thing to me." "Iris," Ryan stood up, his face flushing. "That's enough." "No, it's not." I pulled out my phone, opening the folder of evidence I'd been collecting. "Should we discuss the $40,000 you stole from our savings? Or the power of attorney forms you tried to trick me into signing?" Evelyn's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something cold and calculating beneath. "Ryan, I think your wife is having another one of her episodes." "Episodes?" I laughed, the sound sharp and foreign. "Like the ones you convinced David he was having before you took everything from him?" "You're embarrassing yourself," Ryan hissed, grabbing my arm. "And you're upsetting Mother." I yanked away from him, addressing the shocked faces around the table. "Did any of you know that Evelyn's broken pipes were a lie? That she moved in here to help Ryan isolate me from my friends? To gain control of my assets?" "That's absurd," Evelyn said, but several relatives shifted uncomfortably. They'd seen this before, I realized. They'd watched her do it to others. "Show them the papers, Ryan," I challenged. "Show them what you and your mother were trying to get me to sign." Instead of responding, Ryan turned to the guests. "I'm so sorry, everyone. Iris has been under a lot of stress lately. Mother's been trying to help, but—" "Always the devoted son," I said quietly. "Tell me, does it bother you that she's using the exact same playbook on me that she used on your father? Or does it feel normal now, watching her destroy someone else's life?" The silence that followed was deafening. Evelyn stood slowly, her composure cracking. "I will not be spoken to this way in my own—" "Your home?" I cut her off. "This isn't your home, but you're right about one thing." I pulled off my wedding ring, letting it fall onto the dining table with a hollow ping. "I don't belong here anymore." As I walked out, leaving the chaos behind me, I heard Ryan calling my name. But it was Evelyn's voice that followed me to the door, sharp with fury. "You'll regret this, when you have nothing left." "No." I turned back one last time. "That's where you're wrong. For the first time since I met your son, I finally have everything I need. The truth." The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. In my car, my phone lit up with messages from Ryan's relatives, some expressing shock, others sharing their own stories of Evelyn's manipulation. The facade had cracked, and the truth was spilling out. It wasn't the revenge I'd planned, but somehow, this felt better. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about exposing them to the light. The police officer's flashlight beam cut through my car window, momentarily blinding me. "Step out of the vehicle, Mrs. Mitchell." 3 hours after walking out of the family dinner, I'd returned home to collect some essentials. Instead, I found 2 police cruisers in my driveway and Ryan standing with Evelyn, his face a mask of concern. "She's been acting erratically," I heard Evelyn say as I got out. "We're worried she might harm herself, or others." The second officer was already searching my car. "Ma'am, your husband says you took some important financial documents. He's concerned about your state of mind." "Those documents prove they've been stealing from me." My voice shook despite my efforts to stay calm. "Call my lawyer. She has copies." "Your lawyer?" Ryan stepped forward, perfect worry lines creasing his forehead. "Honey, you don't have a lawyer. This paranoia started when you began meeting with Mother's ex-husband." The officers exchanged looks. Of course they'd believe him. The concerned husband, the devoted son protecting his mother. I'd played right into their hands by coming back alone at night. "Check my phone," I said. "The evidence." But my phone wasn't in my pocket. With horrifying clarity, I remembered setting it down on the kitchen counter when I'd come inside. Through the window, I could see Evelyn watching me, my phone visible in her hand. "Mrs. Mitchell," the first officer said gently, "we can do this voluntarily, or we can make it official. Your family's arranged for a psychiatric evaluation, for your own safety." The pieces clicked together. This was their endgame, not just controlling me, but discrediting me entirely. Once I was committed, even temporarily, everything I'd said about them would be dismissed as delusions. "Ryan," I turned to him, searching for any trace of the man I'd married. "You know what she's doing. You know this isn't right." Something flickered in his eyes. Doubt, maybe even guilt. But then Evelyn's hand touched his arm and his expression hardened. "I just want you to get help," he said. "Mother knows an excellent facility." "I bet she does?" I laughed, the sound bordering on hysteric. "Let me guess. The same one David ended up in before she took his company." "See how she obsesses over these conspiracy theories?" Evelyn's voice dripped with concern. "Officers, please, before she hurts herself." The police moved closer. Fight or flight instinct kicked in, but both options would only prove their point about my instability. I had to think bigger, longer term. "Okay," I said quietly. "I'll go voluntarily, but I want to call someone first." "I don't think," Evelyn started, but the officer nodded. "Supervised call only." I recited Sophia's number from memory, praying she'd understand what I couldn't say directly. When she answered, I kept my voice steady. "It's Iris. I'm at the house with Ryan and Evelyn. The police are here to take me for a psychiatric evaluation." I emphasized each word carefully. "Could you tell David I'm sorry I couldn't finish our business discussion about his old company records?" A pause. Then Sophia's voice, sharp with understanding. "Don't sign anything. We'll have someone there in 30 minutes. "That's enough," Evelyn snapped, moving to end the call. But it was enough. David's documented history with Evelyn, combined with the financial records I'd already given my lawyer, would raise too many questions for them to risk holding me. "Actually," the second officer said, checking his radio, "we just got a call from your lawyer, Mrs. Mitchell. She's requested we wait for her arrival." Evelyn's composure cracked. "This is ridiculous. My son has the right—" "Your son," I cut in, "doesn't have any rights over me. Those power of attorney papers were never legally signed." Ryan stepped toward me, but stopped when I flinched away. "Iris, please, let us help you." "Help me?" I looked between them, mother and son, their masks slipping to reveal the desperation beneath. "You never wanted to help me? You wanted to own me?" Flashing lights appeared at the end of the street, not police this time, but my lawyer's car. As it approached, I saw Evelyn's hand tighten on Ryan's arm, her nails digging in like talons. The game wasn't over, but the rules had changed. They'd pushed me to the edge, thinking I'd break. Instead, they'd given me exactly what I needed, proof of how far they'd go to maintain control. Now it was my turn to push back. The bank manager's office felt too small for the storm brewing inside it. Ryan sat across from me, his lawyer nervously shuffling papers, while my own attorney laid out documents like playing cards in a high-stakes game. As you can see, she said, these transfers were made without Mrs. Mitchell's knowledge or consent. Furthermore, we have evidence of systematic financial manipulation dating back 18 months. Ryan's face remained carefully blank, but his fingers drummed against his knee, a tell I'd learned to recognize during poker nights that felt like a lifetime ago. There must be some mistake, his lawyer started, but I cut in. Show him the Cayman accounts. The color drained from Ryan's face. How did you... David kept excellent records, I said quietly, including the offshore accounts Evelyn used to hide his company's assets before she took control. Funny how you used the exact same bank. A knock at the door made us all jump. The bank manager stepped back in, looking grave. Mrs. Mitchell, the transfer you requested is complete. All joint accounts have been frozen pending investigation. Ryan's phone buzzed. I could picture Evelyn's name flashing on the screen, her carefully constructed world starting to crumble as her access to the money vanished. You can't do this, Ryan's voice cracked. Your mother needs to pay back what she stole. I leaned forward. From me, from David, from everyone she's manipulated over the years. The DA is very interested in her pattern of financial exploitation. His phone buzzed again, more urgent this time. Ryan stared at it like a lifeline. Go ahead, I said. Answer it. Let her know that her safety net is gone, that her precious son can't fix this for her. Instead, he switched the phone off. For the first time since this began, I saw something shift in his eyes, like a spell breaking. I never meant, he started, then stopped. The money was supposed to be temporary, just until Mother got back on her feet. Like it was temporary with David? With your father? I pulled out one final document, a bank statement showing recent transfers to a private psychiatric facility. Or were you planning to make me disappear like the others who stood up to her? The lawyer beside him stiffened, clearly hearing this for the first time. That wasn't... I wouldn't have... Ryan's facade cracked completely. She said it was for your own good, that you needed help. The only thing I needed was a husband strong enough to choose me over his mother's manipulation. A commotion outside the office drew our attention. Through the glass wall, I saw Evelyn arguing with security, her perfectly maintained appearance showing signs of strain. When she spotted me, her eyes narrowed with a hatred that made my skin crawl. Mr. Mitchell, my lawyer said firmly, your mother is not permitted on these premises during these proceedings. If she enters this room, we will add harassment to the charges. Ryan stood up, torn between decades of conditioning and the truth laying bare before him. For a moment, I saw the man I'd married, scared, confused, desperate for approval. I did love you, he said softly. I know. That's what made it so easy for her to use you against me. He moved toward the door, then paused. What happens now? Now? I met his gaze steadily. Now you get to choose. But whatever you decide, I'm done being a character in your mother's power plays. As he stepped out, I heard Evelyn's voice rise. Ryan, darling, tell them this is all a misunderstanding. Your wife is clearly unwell. The door closed, muffling their voices. Through the glass, I watched Ryan straighten his shoulders and, for the first time in our marriage, walk away from his mother's outstretched hand. My lawyer gathered the documents, her expression satisfied. The criminal investigation will take time, but with David's evidence and the bank records, I barely heard her. I was watching Evelyn's face as security escorted her out, her mask finally shattering to reveal the desperate, frightened woman beneath. The woman who'd spent her life destroying others to maintain control, only to end up more alone than ever. It wasn't the revenge I'd imagined, but somehow it felt more complete. Sometimes the best punishment isn't what you do to your enemies, but what they do to themselves when their lies finally catch up with them. The support group circle felt intimate yet exposed, like standing in a spotlight that illuminated only the truth. 12 women, each carrying stories that echoed fragments of my own. My name is Iris, I said, my voice steady, and I'm here because survival isn't enough anymore. The conference room at David and Sophia's law firm had become a sanctuary every Wednesday evening, a place where masks could fall away, where manipulation lost its power in the light of shared experience. The criminal charges against Evelyn go to trial next month, I continued. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because yesterday, I saw a woman at my bank showing the same signs I missed 3 years ago. The controlled movements, the nervous glances at her husband, the careful answers about her own money. The door opened quietly, and Sarah, my friend from work, the one Evelyn had tried to separate me from, slipped in. She gave me an encouraging nod. I watched this woman sign away her financial independence, I said, and I realized that revenge wasn't what I needed. What I needed was to turn this pain into something useful. A text message lit up my phone. Ryan's name. I'd received dozens since the investigation began, each one a mixture of apology and justification. Each one deleted, unread. Some wounds weren't meant to be reopened. The legal fund we're building, I gestured to the donation box by the door, isn't just about money. It's about giving women the resources I almost lost, the power to fight back before they lose themselves. Later in David's office, we reviewed the latest case files. 3 more women had come forward with stories about Evelyn's past schemes. The pattern stretched back decades, each victim isolated and discredited until they believed their own destruction was their fault. The DA thinks she'll take a plea deal, David said, his eyes tired but satisfied. Too much evidence, too many witnesses. And Ryan? Cooperating finally, though I suspect that has more to do with protecting himself than finding redemption. Through the window, I could see Evelyn's Mercedes being sold at auction, along with the other assets frozen by the investigation. The sight didn't bring the satisfaction I'd once craved. Instead, I felt something closer to peace, not because of what I'd taken from her, but because of what I'd reclaimed for myself. Sophia entered with a stack of intake forms. 3 new members for next week's group, word spreading. Good, I said, picking up my bag, but right now I have a bank to visit. The same teller who'd helped me freeze my accounts months ago recognized me immediately. She gestured subtly toward a woman filling out forms at a desk, the one I'd noticed yesterday, the one whose hands shook just like mine once had. I approached carefully, noting how she angled the paperwork away from view, a learned behavior hiding in plain sight. "Excuse me," I said softly. "I couldn't help but notice you're filling out power of attorney forms." She stiffened, a flash of fear crossing her face. "My husband says it's necessary for tax purposes." The familiar words hit like an echo. I placed one of our support group cards on her desk. "Before you sign," I said, "I'd like to tell you a story about tax purposes, about a woman who almost lost everything because she trusted the wrong people to define her worth." She hesitated, then picked up the card. Our eyes met, and I saw something spark behind her uncertainty, the same ember of defiance I'd discovered in myself. "Would you like to hear that story?" I asked. She glanced at the unsigned forms, then back at me. Nodded slowly. As we walked toward the coffee shop across the street, I felt the weight of my own journey settle into something stronger than revenge, more lasting than justice. Every woman who found her way to our group was another link in a chain of resistance, each one stronger for having been tested. The story wasn't over, but at least now we were the ones writing it.